Are you looking to lose 20 pounds? Well, look no further than this video. I'm gonna walk you through step by step how to lose 20 pounds effectively and the right way to do it directly from a nutritionist himself. So let's get rolling on this. So for this example, again, I don't know who's listening to this, but for this example, I'm gonna use Sally. Sally is 150, I almost said 150 years old. She's 150 pounds. She's looking to lose 20 pounds, so the goal is 130, okay? And she's 42 years old. So follow along with me, guys. And even if this scenario is not matching you particularly, let's say you're 180, let's say you're heavier than that, lighter than that, whatever it is, we're gonna walk you through step by step here what to do. So first thing we're gonna look at is the timeline of all this. So I'm gonna give you guys two timelines when it comes to actually losing body fat. And when I'm talking about losing weight, not just 20 pounds on the scale, I'm talking about actually losing body fat. This is 1 pound of body fat. So when you look in the mirror and you grab that spot and you're like, oh, I hate the way this looks, that's this that you're grabbing, which is 1 pound of fat. So when I'm talking about losing 20 pounds, I'm talking about losing 20 of these. That's a lot of weight, right? So there's actually two timelines for it. So we have the perfect timeline and we have the oopsies timeline, right? So healthy, sustainable, long-term fat loss, which is what we're all looking for, is anywhere between half pound, so half of this, to 1 pound per week. That is like a set standard, give or take, whatever everyone's gonna go. So let's say you follow and outline everything that you do, that I say in this video, and follow it to the T, and you're executing that perfectly. You don't miss a day, nothing changes. To lose 20 pounds, it's gonna take you 20 weeks. Despite what everybody else may tell you and show you and promise that you're gonna lose this weight overnight, again, everyone's a little bit different, but healthy, sustainable, long-term fat loss, which is what we're looking for, is that ratio. So if you're perfect, 100%, you don't miss a beat, everything goes smooth and according to plan, it should take you about 20 weeks to lose that. Again, healthy, permanent, that weight's not coming back on, which is important. Now, on the oopsies timeline, we have oopsies. Things happen. Maybe you're 80% compliant. You have some days where you're kind of off. And I want to just make something clear. When I say someone's 80% compliant, if there's 30 days in a month, 80% compliant means 6 of those days are off. So what that basically means is you had 6 days that were just bad. That's 80%. So if you realistically look at your timeline and say, okay, I was perfect for 30 days, I didn't miss one day, that would account to that. But if you had oopsies, you're probably gonna lose about half a pound a week. So it'll take you, again, just on an oopsies timeline, 40 weeks. Again, I know this is probably not what you want to hear, but I'm talking about 40 weeks and the weight doesn't come back on. I'm talking about losing it and keeping it off, which is totally, totally different than going on a crash diet, losing muscle and fat and just losing a bunch of weight, and then after that time, gaining it all back. This is not gonna come back on with the way we're gonna describe it to you, okay? So you gotta keep this timeline important. Why is it important that I go over the timeline with this? Because I wanna set the expectations correctly for you. I don't want you to be misconceived and think that it's gonna take less or whatever. This is the timeline. Sorry, that's the way it goes. So 20 to 40 weeks, that's the timeline. And again, you could probably be in the middle of that, right? Where you have some weeks that are perfect, you have some weeks that are oopsies. And again, sometimes this balances out. Every person's different. Sometimes you have oopsies, but it still takes you 20 weeks. Or sometimes you're a perfect 100%, and that takes you longer. Every person's different. But the main thing is you just gotta keep at it because consistency is gonna win. So let's talk about the how. So there's gonna be two main elements to actually losing 20 pounds. So the first how, and the most important one, and 70% of your results are gonna come from this, is being in a calorie deficit. So when I say calorie deficit, I mean eating less calories than your body is burning. You need to be in a calorie deficit because when you're in a calorie deficit, you actually signal to your body, hey, I'm not getting enough calories. I need to rid the extra calories that I have stored. So in 1 pound of body fat contains 3,500 calories, stored calories. So think about that. If you're trying, I'm terrible at math, I wish I had a calculator, but if you had 20 pounds to lose times 3,500, that's a lot of calories. I almost attempted to do that math. I don't know what it is off my head, but you could just comment below and let me know what that number is. How many total calories do you need to burn to lose 20 pounds? So you would just do 20 times 3,500. But again, 70% of your results are gonna come from this. So when we are in a calorie deficit, we signal to our body, hey, you need to start releasing the extra calories that we have stored on our love handles or wherever. Start releasing those so we can get rid of them and make them smaller. So that's the first step. So that's the first key how. You gotta be in a calorie deficit. And I'm gonna explain how to do that in a second. Second element to it, and that's gonna be the remaining 30%, is going to come from weight training. So we need to retain muscle. When we go into a calorie deficit, our body gets rid of everything. It gets rid of fat, it gets rid of muscle, but we don't want that. We want to just get rid of the body fat. And the way we do that is by retaining muscle mass. And weight training is the best way to retain muscle mass. And when I say weight training, I'm not talking about when you're on your Peloton bike and you're using the weights on the Peloton. That is not real weight training. What that is basically cardio with weights added on top of it. That's not weight training. When I say weight training, I'm talking about a proper, structured program where you're doing big compound movements with progression over time. All right? So that's where the remaining 30% is going to come from. So let's get into the how with the diet. So how do we create that calorie deficit? Well, for Mrs. Jones here, Sally, sorry, Mrs. Jones, Sally Jones, that's her name. So how do we get Sally into a calorie deficit? Well, again, I don't have Sally in front of me here, so it's hard to kind of actually run through a typical day, but this is a good general formula and rule that you could use. So we're gonna take her body weight, okay, which we said was 150, and depending on her metabolism in her body, we're gonna either multiply that by 9 or 10. All right, so what's the difference? Really just depends. How many calories she's taking in now, if she dieted in the past, but that's a good range. You wanna be kind of maybe in the middle of that, or just pick the lower number if you wanna lose it quicker. It doesn't matter. Either way, it's just a good starting point. So we'll say by 9, we'll go by 9. And that is 1,350 calories a day as a general blanket starting point. So that's how many calories she needs to lose 1 pound of body fat a week. 1,350 calories a day, to lose 1 pound of body fat a week. So that's how many calories she needs in a day. Again, it's not a lot of calories, but when you're in a calorie deficit, this is what it is, okay? You're not trying to add weight and add, fat on, you're trying to take it off. So you have to be eating less. That's the rules. So 1,350 calories is what Sally needs to eat every day in order to drop that pound of fat. So now we're gonna add a little bit of a bonus to this. So it's not just that simple. Like, yes, it is, but it's not. So out of that 1,350 calories, we also need to tell our bodies to make sure that our bodies is getting rid of the fat and retaining muscle, because when you retain muscle, you're toner, you're firmer, and your metabolism is going to be in better shape. And that's what we want for the long haul. We want your metabolism in a better shape long term. So, and you're also going to be more sculpted by retaining more muscle. So we need to ensure that that process is going to happen. And we ensure that that process is going to happen by consuming enough protein. So for example, if Sally just went on a 1,350 calorie diet and it all came from carbs and fats, she would still lose muscle because her body's just going to signal to get rid of everything. However, the bonus here is if we consume a certain amount of protein, her body is going to have the building blocks to retain the muscle that she has. And we have to give our bodies that building block to retain it. So we have to figure out how much protein she needs. Again, general rule, everyone's a little bit different, but you're going to do the same thing. You're going to take your body weight, okay, times 9 or 10. Doesn't really matter which way you're going to go about it, but we'll just say 10 for argument's sake in this one, okay? So that's going to give us 150 grams a day, okay? By 1, I'm sorry. not 10, that was my last example, by 1. So body weight times 1 or body weight times 0.9. So body weight times 1, 150 grams of protein a day is what Sally needs in order to retain muscle mass and still lose a pound of fat a week. All right? So she has to be eating that. And where should those sources of protein come from? I recommend lean sources of protein that are high in all the amino acids. So chicken breast, lean meats, fishes are really good. Whey protein powder is the best. Greek yogurt, fat-free Greek yogurt. You have egg whites. Those lean sources of protein. It's funny, I was having a conversation with someone the other day and they mentioned how they were eating more proteins. And that's good. Eating more proteins is good. But they were having chicken thighs. And that has more fat in it than it actually does protein. So you got to be aware of those things. So lean protein, 150 grams. And again, ensuring that she has 150 grams of protein every day is going to ensure that her body retains muscle mass. But it also is going to give her a little bit of a calorie burning effect from having that high protein. Because protein, your body has to work harder to burn it off. So your body has to heat up to get rid of that. So this is why when they do studies on high protein diets versus lower protein diets, higher protein diets always win when it comes to losing fat. So that's that. Now, the structure of the meal plan. How should this be broken down? How many meals a day should you be having? The answer to that is it really just depends on you and your schedule. We believe in flexible dieting. So that's the structure of this. It's going to be flexible. We want you to be able to dictate the foods that you're going to eat and when you're going to be eating them. There's really no, meal timing is kind of like, it matters really 1%. It's really not that important. So we want you to be flexible with your approach and the foods that you're eating. Typically right now, if I was to interview Sally and ask her to write down everything that she's eating, she's going to be eating a certain amount of meals every day. Maybe she has the same type of breakfast every morning, same type of lunch. So what I would say is, let's just alter what you're currently doing to match what you need. So if she needs 150 grams of protein every day and she's having 50 grams of protein every day, then that's going to mean that she's going to have to add significant amount of protein to each meal. So for example, if her breakfast is normally, a banana, so now we're going to say, okay, Sally, look, I want you to add 2 scoops of protein with the banana for breakfast every day. That's going to give you 50 grams of protein, and that's a third of your total protein for the day. And that's going to make a big difference. So don't go crazy with trying to figure this out as far as like how many meals and all this stuff. Just hit these baseline things, 1,350 calories and 150 grams of protein. Start there. Be flexible with your approach. Don't be rigid. A lot of people tell us all the time, I just want a meal plan that's written out for me that I can follow 100%. You're not going to follow it 100%. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You're going to say you're going to, but then it'll be that one day where you ran out of egg whites or you're sick of chicken for today and you don't want that. Then what do? You're screwed and you cheat and you have something else. But with a flexible approach, you're able to kind of fit in whatever you want as long as you're hitting the calories and protein that you need. So again, if you don't feel like having chicken for lunch, you can have lean cold cuts. That works too. All right, I want to add fuel to the fire. Now that we have the base of it and the 70% of where this fat loss is going to come from, I want to add fuel to the fire, okay? How do we add fuel to the fire? We do that with strength training and a proper strength training protocol. So I want you to be going to the gym at least at the bare minimum 3 times a week, full body routine. You're going to be doing squats, barbell squats. You're going to be doing barbell bench press. You're going to be doing barbell overhead press. You're going to be doing deadlifts, trap bar. I like trap bar. Trap bar. And you're going to be doing inverted rows. These movements, my handwriting's horrible, but these movements are the best movements for altering your body composition because they utilize a lot of muscles at once. So by adding fuel to the fire, we're signaling to our body, hey, you need to retain all this muscle because Sally uses this muscle constantly. When you do something like barbell squats, you work over 280 different muscles of your body. So you're going to get a big boost from doing that. You're going to get a big retaining muscle effect from doing that. Plus, your body's going to be more shaped and toned, which is exactly what you're looking for. So you're gonna do that 3 times a week, okay? That's the fuel to the fire. You need to be stoking that fire, and you do that with weight training. Now, not needed but bonus, and I know what you're thinking. Well, should I be doing cardio? How much cardio should I be doing? And the answer to that is, I don't like cardio. It's not in this equation. I'm not saying cardio is important, but when it comes to actually burning body fat, cardio is not going to be the thing that's going to change the way your body looks. It's going to come from your nutrition. But cardio is very, very good to do, and it does help kind of speed that process along. The problem is it's very time consuming, and it actually, when done incorrectly, you will lose muscle mass if you do too much. And your body regulates cardio. So for example, if you're doing 3 times a week cardio, 30 minutes, that becomes your new standard, because the cardio, your body adapts to it. Your body doesn't adapt to weight training, it adapts to cardio. So that becomes your new baseline. If you do less cardio, you are no longer in a calorie deficit. And most people try to lose 20 pounds by doing too much cardio, and their body just gets used to it and used to it and used to it, and they have to keep doing more and more and more. You ever notice how when you initially did cardio, it was a lot harder, and then when you have been doing it consistently, it gets really easy? That's your body adapting to it. But, so now that I've kind of covered that, it's not needed, but the bonus here on what we're gonna do, and a much more sustainable, and I believe to be a better approach, and what we use with all of our clients here, is setting a step goal. Step goals are really cool. They're easy to do, okay? You just walk. But they have a lot of benefits to it. There's a mental benefit to it. In addition to that, it can be done any day. It doesn't matter. So, step goals. How many steps does Sally need? Again, I don't know anything about Sally, but a general rule, we're gonna say anywhere between 10,000 steps to 20,000 steps per day. Every person's different, but as long as she's in this range, she's gonna be on the right track, and she's covering the cardio basis. So anywhere between 10 to 20,000 steps. How do you do this? Simple. Walk around after meals, walk from the car to your job. Maybe you walk outside, you take 30-minute walks twice a day, something like that. But it's a real easy way and real consistent way to do it, and you're not even gonna feel like you're doing it, plus it's really good for your mind. Now, the last and final element to this is going to be tracking and measuring the data. We need to be able to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. I don't want you to be doing things and saying, oh, I don't know if this is working, this might not be working. How do we do this? We track the data. So let's track the data. I'm gonna move my screen over here. So you're gonna track the data. So how do we track the diet? You're gonna track the diet with 2 ways. One, you can either use an app, so there's all these different tracking apps that you could use, or you're gonna use my blueprint book, which is below, and it helps you to track your diary. It's like basically like a food diary, and you're gonna track all the stuff in there. The blueprint actually shows you how to set all this up like we just went over, but there's a component on there that you just literally will write in what you ate every day. I prefer the writing method. It is longer to do and kind of a pain in the ass because you gotta take like the book with you and you have to have paper with you, but it teaches you long-term how to do it. Once you do it like that, it's so much easier. So you're gonna track the diet. So we'll use blueprint book. I'll write that in. Blueprint book. Okay? How do you track your training? How do we track this stuff, and how do we track that you're actually retaining muscle mass? Well, you track it by logging your workouts and keeping track. Okay, I did squats today. I did 3 sets of 10 on squats today. I used 50 pounds. So now next time you come in, you got to try to use 55 pounds for the same 10 reps in 3 sets. That's how you progress. So you're going to use a workout journal. And the good thing about these things are, when you track and measure the data, you can see, okay, my squats are not going up. Why is my squats not going up? Is it because my form is not right? Is it because I am taking too big of jumps? Is it because I'm not pushing myself further enough? This is why it's so important to track it. Weight and fat. How do we track that we're actually losing the 20 pounds of pure fat? Well, I'd recommend getting a scale that you step on that measures your weight and your body fat. They have so many different ones now. You could get them off Amazon for like 20 bucks. They go right to your phone and you get the data every day. Every morning when you get up, you go to the bathroom, number one. Number two, you step on the scale, you take your weight and your body fat, it tracks in your phone, and you just measure that progress. You really don't even pay attention to it. It goes directly to your phone, and then after a week, you look at the data. Am I trending down? Yes, I'm doing good. Am I not trending down? Something's going wrong. Then you could relate back to 1 or 2, where you look at your diet and you say, okay, am I actually not eating this 1,350 calories? Am I eating more? Am I actually eating too less? You know, these are the things that you'll be able to find out. So body fat scale is important. And again, every morning after going to the bathroom, not after you ate something and after you drank anything, that's when you do it. And the bonus thing you're gonna track is using like an Apple Watch, an Oura Ring, a Fitbit, and you're gonna track your steps. Because again, this is kind of like the low-hanging bonus fruit that will help you. So if you notice you're doing everything correctly, let's just say you're eating your calories, you're having the protein, you're being consistent with it, right? You're on track, you're being consistent with it, you're doing your workouts 3 times a week, full body, but you're just not getting there. You look at your Fitbit, your Apple Watch, your Oura Ring, whatever it is, and you're like, oh my God, I'm only doing 2,000 steps a day. Well, now you know you need to bump the steps up in order to keep this moving in the right direction. So that's it, guys. That's how you lose 20 pounds correctly, effectively, for good. Click that link below to pick up my blueprint book. You can just go to Amazon and type in my name and you'll find the blueprint book. It walks through this exact scenario here and has the journal in it so you can actually journal this all out. Any questions with all this, just drop it in the comments below and I'll catch you on the next one.